cast out, unable to set foot on land for more than one cycle of the sun.
Hello everyone and welcome to another video by Sinbad Geek. Today I'm going to discuss my thoughts and opinions upon the sci-fi original television series known as Sinbad. I'm going to talk about episode 2 titled Queen of the Water Thieves. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get to it, shall we? Just so you guys know, spoilers will be in this review, so as always, if you just want to hear my review, go ahead and click ahead and skip the next few minutes of this video. That way, the plot won't be spoiled for you guys. But if you don't mind a few little minor spoilers, go ahead and keep watching, right? So pretty much we have going on in episode 2 of sci-fi series known as Sinbad, as we have, of course, our main character Sinbad and his, crew of misfits, pretty much. And what they are doing in this episode is if you remember in the last episode, a huge, all the those water creatures came, a huge storm came, and now they're ravaged pretty much. They have no food or anything, so they decide to take shelter at a local port. That way they can get food, supplies, relax and chill just for a little bit. While on this island, they come across these people known as the Water Thieves. There's a queen there, and the queen ends up capturing Sinbad and his crew. And as we know, Sinbad can't be on land for more than a day or he'll die because of the curse that was put upon him. And if you watch the first episode, we all know why the curse was put upon him. Anyways, in this episode, Sinbad is captured, and throughout the scenes in this episode, Sinbad starts to grow a sort of, relationship with the actual queen character of the Water Thieves, and, he starts to learn more about, mythology of who she is, the mythology of where her people came from, and that sort of thing. And in this episode also, the people, his crew is trying to decide whether or not, what kind of person Sinbad is. They're trying to decide, whether or not Sinbad is a leader and he's going to come back and save them, because if Sinbad doesn't save them, the Queen of the Water Thieves is going to feed them to the Water Thieves. I guess they're cannibals. They're going to feed them meat, as the Queen of the Water Thieves, says. I keep forgetting her name. Anyway, so his crew of misfits, they're pretty much trying to decide whether or not Sinbad's the leader. They're pretty much saying, hey, there's a few of them believe that, Sinbad, oh yes, they're saying, oh yes, Sinbad is going to come back and save us, he wouldn't leave us. And there's a few more of them in the misfit crew, pretty much to think that, he's just going to leave us here to die. He doesn't care about us. He only wants to save his own self. And of course, around the end of the episode, like I said, major spoilers coming up, he ends up, freeing them, and then some drastic things happen. We end up finding out the Queen of the Water Thieves has a son. The son ends up being killed by another person because the Queen of the Water Thieves has had this whole ordeal going on where she held everyone to an equal basis. Well, she ended up holding her son to a higher regard, though the Water Thief people didn't know that she had a son. So, one of those people ended up killing her son. And that's, while all this is going on, Sinbad's crew escapes. He goes and finds this huge, mythical eagle-looking creature, vulture or eagle of some kind, and it ends up, he ends up cutting it off. It ends up, he ends up being pushed off into the water by the Queen of the Water Thieves seconds before he almost dies because of the curse, and that creature takes him to his ship, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. While all this is going on, our main villain, Lord Akbari, or Akbari, whatever his name is, let's just call him Lord for now. Our main villain, Lord, he is still trying to search for Sinbad. That way his son's blood debt can be repaid. And his brother tries to tell him not to use the black arts or black magic in order to find him, but Lord does not care what he has to do. He ends up telling his sorcerer, he's like, hey, use the black arts if you have to. I must find Sinbad. That way the blood debt can be paid. That's pretty much the main gist of episode 2, titled Queen of the Water Thieves, for the sci-fi original television series known as Sinbad. Overall, my thoughts and opinions on this episode, man, wow, what another great episode. This is such a great story, and let's talk about some of the reasons why I love this episode so much. First of all, let's talk about the overall concept and the overall premise of this episode. It's just really cool seeing these, these water thieves, and I have to say one of my favorite characters in this episode was, in fact, the queen character of the actual Water Thieves himself. She had such a presence to her, such a substance to her character. She was developed in a great fashion, and I really enjoyed her character. We found out, the mythology behind her character. I don't know if it comes from the actual, 1001 Arabian Nights story, back from the, 1700s. I don't know if it comes from that, or if it's just, the writer's own, mythological take on the Sinbad story. But either way, wherever it comes from, it's a great ideology and a great story where she used to be a regular person, and then she had to protect her son, so became the leader of these people. So she wears this war paint, and this war paint in this episode serves as a mask, and it's like a symbol, it's like a metaphor where it's like she's actually wearing a mask to herself, to who she actually really is, and she can't tell anybody that she holds her son to a higher regard, or that people will kill her for not, treating everyone equally, and that in the end it ends up getting her son killed. And I just love that whole backstory and just the whole premise and concept to this episode. That was really cool. Another thing I liked was the actual way the queen looked, the war paint on her, the costume design, the way the actual Water Thieves characters looked. They had like this blue and yellow paints, and kind of like a Indian native tribe, with like dreads and stuff like that, but with a more, I guess you could say, a little bit more of an extreme look, I guess you could say. And overall, I just liked the costume design and just the way they looked. I thought was just very creative. Another reason I like this episode was just the really fun and exciting vibe that the episode had. It's just a great adventure fantasy, and it tells the story in such a great fashion where the show is just so fun to watch, and you never know what's going to happen next. I mean, it's just so fun watching, this vulture or eagle, whatever it was, this mythological eagle, pick him up and then throw him back onto the ship, and then the eagle ends up helping, them by, waving its wings around, and, that's what I mean. The story is told in such a great way where it's extremely fun and overall just fantastic to watch in general. As always, he's Sinbad, played by the actor Elliot Knight, always steals the show. I think his personality is just so great, so engaging, and overall, I really like his character. He's just really cool. And then we have Lord Akbar, or Akbar, whatever his name is. We have the Lord villain character, and I really like him too. He always has some really memorable dialogue, and he's really cool also. And then we have we found out that he had a brother. I mean, we saw his brother in the first episode, but he wasn't there too much. His brother is slowly becoming more of a supporting or a main character, and I liked his brother a lot too. His brother was really cool. He had some memorable dialogue also. I liked his character. And then there was another character that was actually in the Sinbad's misfit crew, and that was the cook character. He had some memorable dialogue, and that was really cool too. And then the other favorite character of mine is also part of Sinbad's misfit crew, and it's the guy. He's kind of the taller, like bigger guy of the bunch, like the most muscular guy. He's got like this blonde beard and blonde hair. He's the one they dress up like a woman when they're getting ready to eat him. The cannibals are getting ready to eat him. The Water Thieves towards the end of the episode. I like them. So favorite characters are the ones I just mentioned, but of course my favorites are Sinbad and then Lord Akbar. That's pretty much my favorite characters. Overall, just really fun and an entertaining and just and a really fun adventure show to watch. That's pretty much my thoughts and opinions on episode 2, titled Queen of the Water Thieves, with a sci-fi original television show by the name of Sinbad. As always, it comes on every Saturday night, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock for everyone else. Episode 3 comes on next week, known as House of Games. Once again, thanks for watching another video by Centipede Geek. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe on my page below, and I'll see you guys later with more videos by Centipede Geek.